Hey, this is Neil Zaza. You're watching Roam by Wild.
I'd like to start with Clyde the Cat, your last release.
Right.
And I'd like to know how the composition of it has grown.
I did a CD prior to Clyde the Cat called 212. And when I finished that record, I was so creative. I was in a very creative mood, in a very creative space. And I literally couldn't stop writing and I couldn't stop recording. And 212 was finished, but I kept going. Like we mixed 212, it was out, and I just kept recording and recording. So Clyde the Cat was just kind of an offshoot of my previous record, 212. It's like volume 2 of 212. So the writing just was very easy, and on Clyde the Cat I did some remakes of some songs that I had done earlier in my career, and it was just a very easy and fast record to make for me. It was great. It was fun.
What's your feeling towards your albums, since sometimes the artists look at their albums like they're children and not just projects?
Right.
What's your feeling?
Well, that's a great question, and you understand entirely how I feel. In fact, you answered my question, but I can't choose what's my favorite records that I've done, because they are like my children. But I would have to say 212, I feel, is the culmination of all that I've wanted to do musically. The songs are, I think, some of the best I've written, and I think the playing is good on the record. So I think 212 is the pinnacle of what I'm doing. But I kind of see different eras of my playing, or different eras of my writing. So like the very early stuff, mids and mids, I don't love. And then there's like a middle section where I can tell the writing is getting better and I'm not so concerned with playing fast. And then there's the modern era, which would be, Clyde the Cat, 212, and When Gravity Fails. So I don't have a favorite, but I like the latest records by me.
I know you had a band, the Zaza band.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
I don't know if you want to talk about it.
Yeah, sure.
But I'd like to know what was the process of forming the band in that period, and then why you decided to go on solo.
Great. I can't believe anyone remembers that band. It's amazing. So I was very young, and we just wanted to be like a Bon Jovi or a Van Halen, and our hair was really big and long, and it was crazy. It was fun. It was a few years that we had some good local success. It was great. I didn't feel the music anymore. We had some issues with the singer, as there's always a singer problem. There's always a singer issue. But it was just time to move on. And I'm friends with everyone still. But I listened back to that music, and it's hard for me to listen to that stuff now, because I'm really literally a different person now than I was back then. So like people will bring it out to me and I'll autograph it, but like, are you sure you want that? Because
it's a very good album.
You've heard it?
Yeah, of course. I had it on my pen drive.
Oh my gosh! No, I'm joking. That's it. But it was a good time. It was fun. So, but it truly is. When I listen to it, it feels like I'm a different person now back to then. Yeah. You're a rock girl, aren't you? You're like a metal girl, aren't you? That's awesome. Yeah.
And what made you focus on instrumental music?
I wanted to control the whole process. So when I write, like when you're in a band setting, normally you have a riff and then you give it to the band and each guy puts their piece on it and stuff. And so it always bothered me because I would have a song in mind, and by the time you get through everyone and the singer puts lyrics on it that are his lyrics and he feels, now it comes back and it's like, that's not the song I wrote, So I just wanted to make music that I felt very comfortable making and I had total responsibility for. So I can't sing at all. So it started out as instrumental music, and it stayed that way all these years. So.
Are you satisfied with that?
Yeah, good question. Yeah.
do you feel that instrumental music has enough space in the music scene?
I think that instrumental music, there's different kinds and different genres of instrumental music, and the kind of music we do is very strange in that it's I view it as pop music without the singer. So the guitar does the singing, does the melody and all that. Where there's instrumental music where you go see someone in concert and all they do is they look down and they look at their shoes and they play, and there's not really a show and there's not a lot of audience interaction, and that's okay, and that's that. But we feel like our show is more pop music, and we interact with the crowd, and it's a rock show. There's not a singer on stage. So I think we view what we do differently than just instrumental music. So I'll always get, hey, I play instrumental music too, but it sometimes it could be very different, you know. Good question.
And how do you choose the mate for joining the stage with you?
Oh, the different guys to play? It's difficult because it's like you're married to different band members, you know, because you travel and you play. I've been very, very lucky to have Walter Chersani and Enrico Cinciuzzi, you know. I want them to play great, but also I have to be friends with them. So, because, you know, we're only on stage 90 minutes, but I'm with them 24 hours a day. So we have to get along. And so it's just a matter of someone that's very friendly as well as a good player. That's what I look for, you know.
Because it is almost a band relationship.
It absolutely is. There's no question. It's I'll write the music and I'm in charge of the music, but as far as the other band members go, you know, we make it come alive, and we drive and we eat, and so we have to be friends first and foremost. Yeah.
And this is a question about your skills. How does one become a virtuoso?
I don't know. I'm still trying to become one. You know, for me, I just when I was young, I cared about playing very fast, and I cared about arpeggios and doing crazy things. But then I realized what was important to me is to sound like me. You know, like everyone can play fast, and everyone can play scales, and everyone can play slow and play blues. But what's important to me is that it sounds like me playing, like to have your own voice. So when I stopped worrying about someone play faster than me, or someone had a crazier riff, or then it became music for me. Then it was all about music, and then that's when I started to sound like me. So that's, I think, how you become a great guitar player, is to find your own voice on the guitar, to sound like you. Like you hear Eddie Van Halen or B.B. King or Jeff Beck, they sound like them. You know it's them. And that's always, I think, should be the goal of everyone, is that. So, yeah.
Yeah, in fact, on your website, we can read, with Staring at the Sun, Neil ushered in a new here that defined his vision in composition and melodic approach and tone. And this CD provided a gateway to the Neil Zaza we know today. And I don't know if you're still...
That's true, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
How would you describe this process towards finding your own sound?
Good question again. I think before Staring at the Sun, it was always about the riff, you know. Whatever the riff is. It was always about the guitar playing, right? But Staring at the Sun, and maybe even Thrills and Chills to a point, it became about the song. The playing was secondary. It didn't matter, oh, I'm not playing fast in that song, or I'm not getting crazy. It was always about, is it a nice song? Is it a pretty song? It was always about the song, not about the playing. And I think earlier on, it was always about the guitar playing, the guitar playing, the guitar playing. The song is, you know, okay. So that's when it flipped, and the song was the most important thing. So, yeah.
Which is the advice that you underline the most while you're making clinics?
You have to love what you do. You have to love music. You have to love the music you make, and you have to have a personal relationship with the music. It's not about kind of what I was saying before. It's about being yourself and finding who you are. And you don't do it for the money. You don't do it for the girls. You do it because you love it, and that's why you're there. And you'll find guys like me that have been doing it a while. The reason we still do it is the same reason that we did it early on, which is we love music. So those are the people that will always succeed because you're doing it for the right reasons. It's not so we can grow our hair long and have tattoos, and it's because we love the music, and that's the most important thing.
Nowadays with the web, we can see a huge amount of players who are very skilled.
Yeah.
And I'd like to ask you if you find that creativity is also at this high level as the technique is.
I don't know if I see a lot of videos where everyone now is filming themselves play and all that, and there's a lot of good music out there, but I still see everyone's trying to be what I was trying to do early on, which is be the fastest and be the most crazy, and I think I don't know if things are getting better song wise, writing. I think watching YouTube, it pushes technique higher and higher because that guy in China can do that. Well, I have to do that when we wouldn't normally know what someone is doing on the other side of the world. So I think it does help to a degree, but I still think it's about technique a lot, So.
And how is it different to wear the clothes of a teacher and the clothes of an artist playing his music?
Wow, you have some good questions. I think it's really the same, because if you believe in what you do and you believe in the music you make and you adhere to a certain philosophy, then when you talk to students or you do clinics or you do anything, you're just telling them how you live your life. So I think it's the same thing. If we live our life the way we want to, we could teach that because it's honest.
I'd like to know if you ever knew you were going to be this great, and how much work does it take?
I knew what?
If you if you knew you were going to be this great,
if I knew that I was going to be like I am. Of course, you never know, but all I ever wanted to do since I was young is play, is make music and play guitar. So I don't know if I never knew. We never know how good we'll be or if we'll succeed or if, but it's always about just doing what you love. Like a lot of kids, they get out of school and they think, how can I make a lot of money? What job can I have? That's normal. But for me, I was always thinking, I want to play guitar, I want to go do a gig, so I always followed what I wanted to do, and I never really gave any thought to where I'd end up. It was always just about feeding that animal, feeding the music, So I never had a goal to be, rich or famous or whatever. It's just I just always want to play music. So you can never plan that.
Did you have a plan B?
No, and I think a plan B is the worst thing you could ever have. You have failed if you had a plan. Now, all our parents, they say we have to have a backup plan, a plan B, go to school. If you have a plan B, you will always go to your plan B. So you always, there's one vision. That's it. There's one plan. There's never two. So you agree? I see you.
Yes, I do. How much do you think that being an artist is such a gift, or just a way of being, like you can build your own career?
I like the freedom to do what I want to do. Now we call it a self-starter. Like I never sit around. I'm always doing something. I think certain people are good at managing their own time. Because they'll always be working. They're always thinking to, what else can I do? What else can I do? And there's a lot of people that need a boss, and they need to be told, you need to be here, and you need to do this, and that's okay too. For me, I don't need a boss. I'm the boss, So my mind is always going to doing something. So it works really well for me,
We've interviewed some other guitar heroes like Kennedy Mons and Tom Manor and Steve Vai and Paul Gilbert, and they all say that they still want to learn something.
Of course.
Are you still learning something, and do you find any difference from your learning in the past and your learning now?
Good question. Yes, I think the more you know, the farther down the road you get in any career, journalism or guitar, the more you know, the more you realize, I don't know a lot. So when you don't know anything, you think you know everything, and then when you get to a certain point, you realize that you don't really know anything. So yeah, I'm constantly learning, and I constantly see in my own music where I could get better, or where I failed, or after a show I know where I messed up, right? There's things are clearer now, and so I always am learning and trying to improve. But for me it's not the big things that I worry about now. It's the little things, the phrasing, the vibrato, I didn't do that. It's easy to get 80 or 90% there, but the hardest stuff is the final 10%, that the little details that everyone else misses, they won't notice. But we know the difference, and that is what hurts, is right there. Yeah.
Is there any artist you get inspiration from right now?
I mean, I love Andy Timmons. I think he's just amazing. Steve Lukather is amazing. I did a show in Taiwan with Steve Vai a few months ago, and I thought he was fantastic. And with Vai, everyone talks about the technique, and he's amazing. But what I was just so blown away with is, again, that little 2%. Like when he'll play a note, he just controls it. There's just ultimate control over his guitar, and that's what I love the most. So yeah, I draw from all those guys. I love it. Yeah.
And this is a question I really want to ask you, because I really love Journey, and I'd like to know.
There's the guy.
How you met them and had this partnership with them.
Yeah. Well, it's no secret to me, Neil Schon of Journey, that's my guy. When I started out, it was Eddie Van Halen and Michael Schenker, Brian May, all those guys. But to this day now, Neil Schon is it. Any Journey song, whether you like Journey or not, and who doesn't like Journey, right? But you could hum every solo from Journey. He's astonishing. So I met Steve Smith on the road. I was on tour, and he knew my friend Bobby Rock, who was playing drums. And so we met him, and I thought, man, that would be great to have him on a record. So I asked him to do a record with me, and he said, yeah, let's do it. So he said, who do you want on bass? I want Ross Valerie. Now I've got the Journey rhythm section, right? And he's like, oh, that's great. I haven't played with Ross in forever. That would be fantastic. So we recorded at Steve's house, and there's Steve playing, there's Ross playing, there's me. It was awesome. And we almost got Neil down to do a solo, but he was busy or something. But I love that style of music. I make no apologies for it. like everyone goes heavier with different Journey's awesome to me, and Neil Sean is the king of, if someone says, hey, you sound a little bit like Neil Sean, I'll take it, absolutely, anytime, so.
And how did the One Silent Night project came out?
I was in a motorhome accident a few years ago in the 90s, and so everyone was recuperating before we going to go out on tour again, and I always joked with this family member. She did craft shows. She'd make something, and I always joked, hey, if I did a Christmas CD and I sat here with you, and these old ladies would walk by, I could sell a ton of discs. It was just a joke, So I had a month or two to free, and I worked with an arranger to help me get some arrangements down, and it started as a joke, and all of a sudden I did 2 volumes, One Silent Night, Volume 1, Volume 2, and then we put together a show, and it had an orchestra with it, and I never tried to do it. It just happened. It was a joke, and now we're doing a show, and now we have an orchestra, and now we do it every year, and then now we sell out the show every year, and it's crazy. It's a joke, but we enjoy it, and now I take it very seriously, and I like it a lot. But it's crazy how things happen like that.
Have you ever thought about bringing it on tour at Christmas time? Yes,
we just had that talk the other day. We always do it in Cleveland, but I would love to bring it, especially to Italy. It's Christmas music in Italy. It's perfect. So yes, we're looking at it. I love to meet any promoter or agent that knows what to do with it. Yes, let's do it for sure.
And how did you first came out with the idea of playing Bach and Mozart compositions?
I studied classical guitar in college for 3 years, and I never got my degree because I started touring and playing, but I was really influenced by Randy Rhoads, Yngwie Malmsteen. I love that classical feel to it. So when you listen to a lot of that music, it's amazing stuff. So I just started using it in for guitar solos and things like that. So now even tonight we do Beethoven's Fifth, and I do a quote in a song called Fargo of Beethoven's Ninth. So it's great music. It's timeless music. So we have to use it.
Would you recommend musicians to listen to classical music?
I like certain composers. I love Tchaikovsky. I love Mendelssohn. Bach is amazing. I think my favorite though would be Tchaikovsky, because again, I view him as like the journey of classical music. Like you could hum all of his songs. They're all very grand and beautiful and majestic, and I love his stuff a lot. So it's just beautiful, beautiful music.
How do you think that helped you becoming what you are?
When I was in college studying guitar, I had to listen to a bunch of different music, classical and jazz and everything, and I never bonded with jazz. It's not in my system. Like I appreciate it, and I love players that play jazz, but I don't hear things that way. It doesn't move me, and that's just me, and that might be an immaturity on my part, but the classical music always moved me, and when it was real beautiful and pretty and everything like that. So I think it just kind of, you listen, and they say that what you should do is you should listen to everything and all players and music and let it go in, and then what comes out is you. So that's where I think it influenced me, is I listened to a lot of the melodies and how they phrased it, and it just comes out another way. Yeah.
Now let's talk about your equipment.
Yes.
How does a guitar become your model?
Well, we're just about to release, and it hasn't been announced yet, but I'm talking about it. We're gonna Carvin is coming out with a Neil Zaza signature guitar, which I'm really happy about. To be a signature guitar, I imagine it has to have all the specifications that I love so much. So that guitar has, and this is not it. This is another model by Carvin. But the neck feels really good. It's an unfinished neck. For me, because of Van Halen, one volume knob, no tone knob. It has to have a certain feel and a weight. And I like humbucker pickups and as a coil tap. So a bunch of different aspects will make it something that I really like. But when I grab a guitar just like this, I know instantly if I like it or not. I don't need to play it. And so that's what these guitars have to have. I have to put my hand on it and like, yeah, I love it, you know. So.
And what about the other equipment?
I have a signature overdrive pedal. It's called the Juicer, made by Moore. And it's an amazing pedal, just enough overdrive to kick the amp into more sustain. I've went from, I used to have racks of gear on stage, now I keep it really simple. It's just an amp head, and when I tour, I can't really, I'm at the mercy of what they have or what I can get for the tour. So I'll use a Black Star or a Marshall, sometimes a Diesel head. But every tour is different. But that's what people misunderstand, is the tone is always right here. This is what makes the sound, not the amp or not the guitar. So no matter what, we can play it on any equipment and it always sounds like us, you know. So amps, I just said, overdrive pedal, some delay. It's a very simple setup.
And how do you see yourself in the future? Are you working on new projects?
Yes, I have a live DVD that we recorded last year. It's almost done. The editors have taken their time with it, and also there's going to be a Neil Zaza biography Apple iBook that you can. It's videos and interviews, which is very interesting. And then next. In 2 weeks, we're recording a DVD in Denmark, which I'm excited. And then I've started working on the new CD. So every time I start a CD, the songs have to get better, and so now every CD is tougher for me to write, because what I would have said is good before, it has to be better. And now it has to be so. It's tough. It's a process, but what I have so far is, I think, pretty good. So.
Do you think you already reached the top?
No, not at all, not at all. But that's the struggle, is to not be satisfied with what you do. You know, you can be happy, like I was happy with 212. I like that record a lot. But there's something better still, something better, and that's where I'm at now. Is I want to find it.
That was a quite long interview.
That's great.
If there's anything I didn't ask and you'd like to say,
I think you got it all. I think you nailed it. Good job. Good questions. Man,
thank you very much.
I get these crappy questions all the time. You know, like how, whatever, boring. But you ask really good ones. Good
Thank
job.
you.